AMG Hobby Talk, episode number 89. Steve's here. What's this? Is that Blair down there on the bottom of the screen? Blair, what do you have to say for yourself?
It's good to be back.
Where are you? It's like you in a closet somewhere?
I just thought I wanted to do this one from somewhere unique. So I mean, Steve, if Steve doesn't know where I am, that'll tell you. I'm in the bowels of the store.
I was going to say, we can see like the signage there. There's like a stack of boxes. You're literally in the corner. Yeah, you got that going in there. He's literally in, we literally put him in the corner.
I'm where no one else wants to go.
So it would seem. So we got Blair there, collector of the scalps, collector of people. Steve, how are you?
I am great now that Blair's back. He can, our supply room is definitely piling up back there. So Blair is our supply guy. So he was vigorously reorganizing things yesterday. So we can almost make it to the employee fridge now, which is very important.
Almost. Yeah.
That is tremendously exciting. Truly tremendously exciting. We love it. So that said, this week we'll not focus on any specific product because there isn't. I've got a small list here that I'll go through really quickly. Predominantly it is restocks for the most part. However, with that said, if you have questions about pricing, availability on anything, as always reach out to the store directly. The contact points are in the description, so we've always included that information. And then I'll also put the little scrolling ticker across the bottom. Usual things, you know how this works. We will briefly mention, now is a reminder. So this week will actually be the trade night and card show. So you got the trade night on the Friday and the card show on the Saturday. It's always the last Friday and Saturday of the month. This week qualifies. We have officially arrived. Can either one of you give me the hours again for Friday trade night and card show on Saturday?
The trade night is 5 to 8. And then the show, I believe, is 9 to 2. And dealers can start moving in after 7 in the morning. So that is an early morning for Blair and I. Any of the dealers out there, feel free to bring an extra coffee for us.
Amazing. Sensational. Love it. So yes, so always make sure to include that information. Also follow all the social medias because that's where you're going to get a lot of the reminders and information. But again, at the same week that we're dropping this episode, on the Friday and on the Saturday. Trade night Friday, card show Saturday. That'll be how it follows, and it's going to continue through the rest of the summer into the fall because we've got one every single month. So we always give you the reminders ahead of time, so we're going to include that. This week, there was no comments. Not even a Go Sens Go. We were lacking in the comments. And we know some of you viewed, so we know some of you watched. So I was sitting there. You're all conspicuously quiet this past week. I don't know what happened. Maybe you're all excited loading up on those credentials. I don't know what to tell you.
It was a perfect episode, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. Steve, I think they were in awe of the T-shirt card. The T-shirt card blew their mind, and they just couldn't get past it. And I can't blame you. It has haunted my dreams since I saw it. So now we all know. Anyway, I'll quickly go over a couple of these. As I said, most of these are restocks, but I'll quickly read through the list. I've got it in front of me. So 2025 Panini Score Football. That's included in here. Again, pricing, availability, reach out directly to the store if you got any questions. 2025 Panini Select Basketball Hybrid. That's the name of the product. 2025 Panini Donruss Racing. So if you like yourself some racing, we've got that on there. 2025 Topps Chrome Baseball Value Box. So specifically the Value Box format. 2025 Topps Chrome Basketball Value Box as well. So we've got that on there. And like I said, in terms of new products, there isn't really any. I've got some cards that I'll share with you, some new stuff that came in the store, so we'll share that momentarily. A nice little mix of things. So we've got that. One other thing I'll mention, and if you follow the Facebook page, you'll see that Steve does post this pretty regularly. There have been different lots of vintage coming in. So different items, 1960 Leaf baseball singles. That's kind of a little bit off the beaten path. An interesting series if you've ever seen it. It's actually very straightforward, very simple. White border, black text on the bottom, black and white photography. But it is very nice. Like I think it's like 144 card set, if memory serves me, something like that. It's kind of an interesting set, a little bit unusual, but you will see some interesting images from a lot of these different characters from the early 60s. Leaf was trying to get into baseball, so they were trying to find these angles to get into it. So it was always kind of interesting. So Leaf did that in 1960, and then Fleer obviously in 63. So they were trying to break the top monopoly. People, different companies were trying. So it was it's part of that history included in there.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting card stock they used, and almost like the old Polaroid camera with the nice shiny surface. And yeah, it's a extremely difficult condition sensitive set. I don't pay much attention to the grading numbers on them, but I would think very difficult to receive high grades on these.
It wouldn't surprise me if part of that was probably an attempt to get around the whole monopoly, because by doing different things, if you did a photograph, that's kind of a way of getting around it. Right now, again, I wouldn't call it exactly the same, but it is interesting if you paid attention. Fanatics released a hockey set. I forget the name of it. It was called something very specific, but they were 8x10 photographs, and I'm putting that in quotation marks. Even though the photographs were double-sided, the design on the front of it looked an awful lot like a trading card. Obviously, it's autographed. That was part of the whole selling point of it, and they put it inside of its own individual holders. But again, the design looks very sports cards-ish, but being in an 8x10 8x10 format with photography stock, you can kind of get around it. It's not a hockey card, you see. We're not circumventing the license, but it looks an awful lot like a large hockey card, Steve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of large hockey cards, I just got actually working on buying a lot of 39 and 40 O-Pee-Chee hockey, which again was an odd attempt of a release considering the size of them, and it makes you wonder what they were thinking back in those days. But and some of them, I know Turk Broda's wearing an awesome tuxedo in one of them. That's kind of neat.
I'll zoom in for
I
a
think
second.
I think Blair's got one of those at home. The old, I think it's a white tuxedo, but he wears it. The only other person that could do that is Blair Ryan.
I have the suit and the hockey card.
Mm-hmm.
Turk Broda fan. Yeah.
Indeed.
So yeah, hopefully I'm
those are
kind of negotiating for these. There's close to 100 of them, so hopefully I'll be able to work something out, and those will be available in the store, and probably put some of the bigger ones in our eBay store to get a little traction onto the store and the eBay site.
Mm-hmm. Now, quick question for you before we get into kind of the main meat and potatoes of this thing. Since you brought it up, and obviously you had that example there. Obviously, different times, different companies, going back, obviously, decades, even going back to the tobacco era and the cabinet cards. Different ones have tried to kind of make the larger format cards work. Other than the storage is obviously an issue. That's the thing. But they've never really taken off with collectors. They really have never been as excited about, like, there's the beehives, and there have been different attempts, like they've tried. But I guess the hobby never really got into the oversized cards that much. Any reason you think, other than obviously storage? Storage is a factor, but is that the only reason?
Yeah, and that's actually the dilemma I'm facing right now trying to buy these. I really, really want them. But of course, knowing vintage hockey, it's definitely a much smaller market.
Niche.
So regardless of what I added them all up individually, and it's a staggering number, but when you eliminate probably 80% of potential buyers just because it's not their thing, you really got to be careful when you buy oversized items. And is it a storage thing? Is it maybe you can't find the condition you want because they were oversized, and to get an 8 of an oversized item or higher is almost impossible. So some people don't like getting 2s and 3s and 4s, but with the oversized one, that you have to accept that, be willing to accept that, and they're still beautiful cards as is, but storage could be a big issue with them.
Yeah, and that's probably what leads to Steve's point. The condition is, people back then when they got them, there's nothing really to store them in except like a loose in a box, or I don't know what people would have done with them. But it does make. I mean, even tall boys, like not as far back as the 40s, but if you, especially on their own, they don't go into the kind of traditional card box. So, and then if you grade them, which a lot of people do, I mean, they're even bigger, so they're harder to deal with. So yeah, I just don't think it ever caught on, and whether it's it's got to be a storage thing for sure, but and they're not too traditional. I think you just got to find people who like a little bit of oddball items and things. But yeah, definitely shrinks the market, like Steve said. So you got to be careful. There's some rookies in there and stuff that would be an easy sell, or some of the key guys, but you start getting into the commons, and it ends up being like commons in different sets, and harder to move, and even more so because they're 39 and 40.
And I also think too, from a grading standpoint, I'm not 100% correct on this, but I think they fall into the oversized category.
They would, yeah.
I think that you have to spend them at maybe value plus, and that's like, you know, $56.99 plus tax. So now you're upwards of $70 to slab some of the commons. I think are 40-50 bucks. So it's and then to only receive a 2 or a 3 in it, you have to question, is it worth having them slabbed? Although they just have great eye appeal once they're encased.
Yeah,
and that's what I did. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just the reason, since you mentioned it, I knew I had one nearby. I was just trying to see if I could reach it, but same old vein as this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, beauty.
So this, I handed this off to Brad some time ago. But these are kind of fun. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the Macho Man back in the day. But these ones, and this one has the little coupon tab at the bottom there. Well, again, look at the size. But yeah, these ones, you have to put it into that oversize. It falls in that category because you got to go with the bigger holder. As soon as it basically resolves a bigger holder, something like this, it goes into that category, and you have to pay a little bit more to get the slab happening.
Yeah, I graded a few. Mainly a couple of the rookies, because obviously the value is a bit there. Like Steve said, I don't think you'd want to, unless you're trying to do a complete graded set. Well, good luck to you with that. But some of the rookies, but they do when they're done. And like your card you just showed, I mean, beautiful when they're done. Like, I mean, just an awesome display piece for your collection. But to do them all or just do commons, that would be tough based on the price. And I can't remember what I paid, but it's got to be around that price. But yeah.
It's a bigger form factor, and like I said, there is a storage consideration. Like, I have just the one, which is fine, but if I did the complete set like that, that'd be a little bit tricky, because you saw the size of it. Like, I was just holding it there, but it's like, now imagine you had a whole set of those, and then you're like, okay, so now you'd almost have to put in like a comic book type box. You'd have to go with the bigger box, because the regular card boxes aren't going to hold it. It's just not designed for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So some things to think about, some considerations are required for that. So I think that makes sense.
Beautiful piece, by the way, Carlos. I love that with the tab on the bottom. I think, didn't we have some, Steve? I don't know if it was the exact same one, or maybe didn't have the tab, or I can't remember. Maybe ours had the tab.
It kind of looks familiar, and I remember we had some cool regional pieces, like a Leo Burke 8x10 from the Grand Prix Wrestling that was very popular in the Maritimes. Big Stephen Pettipaw, all those great wrestlers from our childhood. We did have some of those, and they are long gone.
Yeah.
I've definitely had chats with Brad about that one. That one was an expo pickup, because there were some dealers that had some of those. And if you can get, again, right there was very early. Macho Man came into the period that I was watching, but he also started before I started watching. But $1 Million Man, Teddy DiBiase, Macho Man, those are two of my favorites. So when I saw that with Macho and Elizabeth, perfect. That's perfect for me. All right, so let's get into, we'll share a couple of cards that came in here that we'll talk about it, and then we'll get into, actually, I got one more question for you, real quick before I did. Originally, I was going to say, obviously, Credentials was one that we talked about last week, but one that we spent a little bit of time on, Goodwin Champions. By the way, did anybody open up Goodwin Champions, pull anything interesting? Because we saw there was a lot of cool stuff in there. That was potentially interesting.
No, unfortunately, I think we did sell a couple boxes, but they left the store. So maybe if we get a chance later this week, I'll open 4 or 5 packs and see if anything, or actually Blair will open a couple packs and see if.
Hey, record it, Blair. Record it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that one has some potential. I was looking at the checklist a little bit more the other day, and actually there's some fun stuff in there, like some interesting items that are a little off the beaten path there, if you like some of the other sports.
Little bit of a niche market, but we do have some people that open them. But usually they take them away, so we don't get to see them. But
makes sense. All right, so let me share a couple of items that we have, and then we've got a little topic that we'll touch on here for a little bit on this episode. But let me start off by sharing some of these cards. I'll begin with this. First one is perfect for one of our resident commenters, so we'll see if we hear from you this week. We're starting off with Liquid Gold, Brady to Chuck.
Boom.
Now here's the thing. Real quick, in addition to, of course, pandering to the Ottawa Senator commenting base, in addition to that, though, The liquid gold, I had heard about this. So this is kind of interesting, obviously, since you got a picture of it. My understanding is it's like a flexible kind of plastic kind of thing. And it looks like it's got a little bit of texture to it. So can either one of you tell me about it in hand? How does it look? Obviously, we can see the picture, but what's it like in hand?
Yeah, the guy I bought it from, he kind of said I wouldn't touch it because it is very almost like the Don Ross preferred like flexi-chrome cards from the late 90s. So I didn't actually touch it. I didn't want to risk putting a little ding on it or anything like that. But in hand, it is impressive. And it definitely looks like liquid gold, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they were using a little bit of technology with this. That's the reason I was asking, is because they actually did a little bit more than the usual thing rather than a regular kind of card. This one had a very specific material and stuff they did with it to give it a different look, to actually make it a little more distinctive.
Yeah. I haven't checked in a while. I know I checked early after the release, and these ones that were popping up were kind of selling pretty good. So I don't know what it's like now, but
yeah, I will say I'm pretty sure these are like a case hit or a multi-case hit. Like it's a tougher card to get.
Yeah.
So if you see one of these out in the wild and you're able to get it for a decent price, bear in mind, double check the odds, but I think it's a case hit or multi-case hit. It's actually a very tough card to pull. Similar vein, we got the doubloons. So these ones in hand are very shiny. So if you've seen the doubloons, these ones are actually quite nice, a lot of them. So this was a Gordie Howe there with a young Gordie in this image included in there. So that's from Allure. So another nice card that's included as well. Then we got a basketball card. This was kind of a fun one. Ooh. David Robinson. So that's kind of an interesting one. So we got David Robinson, immaculate on card auto, which is nice. And then we got a little patch piece there, numbered to 5. It's pretty good.
That's nice.
Absolutely, and they did a good. I think they did a good job with the design on this one, leaving enough white space for a fair bit of room there for the autograph, which we appreciate on this design here. All right, then we got to do some Canadian content here. So for 2020 clear cut, we got the canvas red ink Connor McDavid, hand numbered to 97. So canvas, good looking image. I will say bonus points to them. Obviously, UD Canvas, they use a lot of good pictures. I like that they use the white jersey on this. It's kind of a little bit interesting because they don't use this one too often.
No, fits the card.
And yeah, I was gonna say with the red marker, if you're gonna do it, with the white jersey actually helps you because you can see like the socks, the high socks there, don't interfere with the autograph that much because the white background actually makes it stand out a little bit more instead of a darker image.
I'm not even overly familiar with that jersey. Like I said, it must be maybe a 4th jersey or a 5th because I actually don't recall seeing them playing a game with it on. Not that I watch a lot of Oilers games, but yeah, it's definitely a less used jersey.
Yeah. I think it was a good choice for them. If you're going to do this kind of thing with a red ink and everything, you need as much white on there as possible to help the autograph stand out a little bit. So I think it was a good photo selection by, compliments to the chef on the photo selection for this one.
Yep.
That one might be a fun one as well. You could probably identify the game it was from just because of, the fact that they would have only worn that jersey a couple times a year.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
I don't think it was like outdoor game, or I thought they went with a more kind of darker colors with an outdoor game they played once, but plus he's got it.
I think it depends on whether you're home or away though. It wouldn't surprise me actually. It wouldn't surprise me because you know what this might be? I know that for some of the teams, they did like a team rush kind of an alternate color kind of thing. Because Dallas had like the rave jersey, which was like an alternate, it's not a normal jersey. So that was an example of one where they went a little bit off the beaten wall with the color schemes and really made them even more exaggerated than normal.
Yeah, that could be it. Because the colors are more red. Yep.
So here from 2021 SP Authentics. So here we've got ourselves a UD Authentic. So you got a patch autograph, numbered to 25. So you got another one there. Plenty of room there for the autograph, which is nice. You got a nice patch piece on there, game used. So that was in a mint 9 with an autograph of 10. Pretty good. And then one more Edmonton in order to finish off. So we got from 2021 clear cut. We got the Wayne Gretzky high gloss. So it's the high gloss numbered to 10. So it is a tougher piece. And then we got the blue paint pen. Decided to do the blue paint pen on this one.
Yeah, I had to show this one because Cole that works here at AMG, he just recently received this card back from PSA, so he was tickled to death when he saw the 1010 and just kind of walked around the store with it for about 2 hours. And I said, sure, Cole, let me take a picture of it and I'll put it on the podcast. So if anyone out there is looking for this card, which it is out of 10, you can reach out to us and I will gladly put you in contact with Cole because he's very excited.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking around back because at one point we used to have this, I don't know what you call them, but it was actually a PSA thing. You could put it around your neck and put the graded card in there, kind of like who was the rapper used to wear the clock?
Flavor Flav.
Anyway, yeah, Flavor Flav.
He's no you god. He's no you god.
No,
but we know Flavor Flav.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that for Cole. He can wear it around the shop.
I'm gonna say that might be an option right there. I like that.
Back to that card though, I didn't quite. It looked the side, the auto was the blue and Gretzky in the blue, but the actual side was kind of like purplish color. Yeah. I don't know if it was, but I didn't really like that, but because we really loved the other card.
Oh, just let Cole know. Give a critique. Give a critique, Blair. You should go over and give him a critique. Be like, the design though, the purple though. Are we sure about that?
I like Cole, so I won't break his heart. But
all right, got to do what you got to do. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. So since we finished off on a couple of autographs, we can quickly take a couple of minutes to talk about this because it is potentially very impactful. So I'll give a quick high level. Obviously, one of the big news items that has been making the rounds is it was kind of a developing story. It was a couple of different things related to it. It started off from a Facebook post that was made on an Autographs 101 Facebook page where an individual, I want to say Brent Lemieux, I know last name was Lemieux. This person basically claimed that they were kind of at the center of a large autograph, fake autograph ring. And the extent of it, we have to take it with a grain of salt because obviously this is kind of a deathbed confessional because we can say that as a result of that, an investigation was being started, a raid was happening, and as a result, they are no longer with us. Let's just put it that way. We'll say it that way and keep it polite. But basically, regardless, they're making kind of this deathbed confessional, so to speak. And the problem is you have to take it with a grain of salt because no doubt from what they've been able to find or what's come out already is that it's going to be fairly large. Steve Grad, formerly of Beckett and other things, has said that it will dwarf kind of Operation Bullpen, which was a very large thing back in the day, which still means it's big. But they claimed millions and millions of items, fake stickers, authentication items, COAs and things like that. And to the extent of, he claimed upwards of 350 million plus, which obviously would be massive, a big kind of thing. I had kind of a conversation in my own podcast where we talked about, we actually spent, Steve, honestly, close to 2 hours talking about it because there's so many subtleties and things that you can get into. And here in our space here, we're not going to have that much time to talk about it, but we'll stick high level. Being that you guys are in a card shop and that you have autographs, one of the things that I made, so I'll give a couple of high level points and then you let me know kind of your thoughts on it. I stated the thing with autographs, really what it comes down to is this. It's about trusting the source. It's about who you're getting it from. It's about provenance. And most importantly, it's about chain of custody. Because when it comes to different autographs, if you go to an autograph signing and an athlete, actor, whoever, celebrity signs something for you and hands it right back to you, that is the only way you can be 100% totally confident that everything is perfect because literally they signed it and slid it across the table and put it in your hands. You know it's good because they signed it for you and handed it back to you. Anything short of that, there has to be a level of trust involved in it. And anything that undermines the trust, like a very large scandal, can always kind of make that more difficult. Because if you're not there physically when they sign it, then you are entirely dependent on either the certification that's there or the place you got it from. Really, how much you trust them is really going to be the answer to that question. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is this. Autographs are an inexact science. When it comes to authentication and all that, it is one of the most difficult things to do because a normal person, and I challenge anybody who wants to confirm it for themselves, go get a piece of paper, sign your name, do it 20 times and take a look at them. And you're going to notice there's a variation. And that's you doing your own signature that you know. And there's going to be slight variation. That's normal. The only thing that will confirm for you that something is weird is if it's perfect. If something is perfect, you can pretty much assume it's an auto pen. But variations are normal. So the question is, how much variation is acceptable? And it is, I wouldn't want to be the one who tried to make that assertion. And I guarantee you, my personal opinion, this is just me, even the best of the best, a lot is going to get through. More so than probably people would be comfortable knowing. But realistically, even the best of the best, because there's just too many nuances. Autographs are just too tough to really be the level of accuracy that we would like to see. Again, my personal opinion only. What do you guys think?
The good thing, I guess, from our standpoint, and yes, we sell autographs. I don't think it will affect us as much as it would like places in the States. We don't have like Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Judge and Tom Brady, although we do have a Tom Brady, but we know the source of that. Ours are mostly hockey oriented, or then the other thing is too, we do a lot of upper deck, and sometimes upper deck products are more expensive, but I think there's a reason for that too. They're kind of putting their stamp on it. So whether it's or Patrick Waugh or Wayne Gretzky upper deck, the show autographs, like you can feel more comfortable that those are legit. And we deal with buying autographs daily. People come in with them, and someone walks in with a Gordie Howe. I don't need someone to authenticate that it's Gordie Howe. Like, you've just seen him enough to know it's real. But we also won't pay a lot for items that don't have authentication. So it's a little bit of it's a tough one, because it just the people at the end of the rainbow that we sell them to, they want that certificate. So yeah, it definitely puts a little bit of a wrench in the spokes as far as trusting. Which again, we don't do a ton of autographs, but when you run a hobby shop, you do need some things. So we've got our walls lined with some autographs and things like that. I'm a little worried about those that have made a living out of just selling autographs, because they may get a little pushback moving forward for their businesses. And it's a shame that, this happened, because it's going to hurt a lot of people, especially the little people that are working hard to make an honest living.
Mm-hmm. Now, Blair, I want to get your thoughts on this, but then I have a follow-up question. So give some initial thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, echoing Steve kind of covered a lot of it there, but yeah, I mean, we do buy just before I went on vacation there, I bought some. I think Steve was away, but just a local gentleman, and these are probably a little bit easier, but came in with some Ken Dryden autographs. I mean, pretty sought after. You don't Ken doesn't sign a lot of things unless he kind of scribes it and stuff. So, but I was able to pick them up, and having he was keeping a piece, which made sense. So getting his backstory and stuff like that about knowing, and he met them and took a puck. But I was able to buy a few, and he wanted to keep one that was inscribed to him, so you could tell. So those things help with purchasing things sometimes. And like Steve said, we've seen a lot of autographs. You can tell these auto pens. If you I did see one of the guys that I saw a post last night. He's a kind of a big Gretzky I guess authentication expert, Sean Chalk, but he sent a post, and he was trying to help somebody with a lot of, the guy was buying these Wayne Gretzky pucks for, I don't know, 140 American or something, he said, and the guy had like 20 of them, and Sean showed them, and they were definitely all auto pen, because they were perfect. Every
Exactly.
one of them was the same. So to your point, but yeah, I could see. I think Steve's right. I mean, it might be more impactful in the U.S. And I did see in that post that he reposted, there was a couple of stores were saying they were going to pull certain items, as depending on the either the authentication or. But then there was a lot of things that they're in store, again, falling to your thing. If you get it done yourself or get it done at a store, the confidence is there, whereas in some things, the confidence may not be. So, but it could definitely hurt some people. And autographs have been it's been a thing. I've been collecting for a long time. Steve's been around it. I mean, it's always, like you said, if you don't see it, then that takes away the 100% certainty. And then you have to go to your, you trust that these JSAs and Beckett's and these guys are, they're looking for certain things in autographs that leads them to be whatever the percentage is, confident that, okay, that's a marker, that's a marker. Okay, we believe this to be a true autograph. But I mean, like you said, if unless you see it, there's your 100% gone out the window. But you know, still think a lot of these autographs out there are true, and there's always people trying to make a buck. So you just got to be careful and buy the best way that you can with authentication and story and um, things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, we actually have a baseball in the store. To this day, I think it's good. It was the story added up. The guy's great uncle used to work at a bank where the Boston Red Sox would do their banking, and it's just like a baseball signed by like 15 Boston Red Sox, and just random guys. And of course, Ted Williams is on there, and we sent it off to be authenticated, and all the signatures came back to being good, except they called Ted Williams the clubhouse signature, meaning like that maybe a secretary or someone in the organization might have signed it. Like to this day, like I'm convinced that's real. It's just, yeah, he's like they used to just all come in the bank, and he would have his ball there, and they would sign it as they came in.
Yeah.
And the guy was in his 90s or something like that. It's just odd that to
And
me that they're all good, and Ted Williams wasn't. But
yeah.
it is what it is. So I had to price it accordingly, and kind of tell this story, to potential buyers that I think it's good, but who am I to say it's good? I wasn't there when they signed it, but
Yeah.
that happens. There's been autos that have been authenticated that you kind of shake your head, and then ones that aren't, that you're like, I think that's good. So yeah, there's still human error involved, and then of course they talk about getting AI and things like that involved. And again, who knows if that would make much of a difference too. But it's definitely something we don't, as at AMG, we don't 100% bank on autographs, for our day to day. It's a small part of what we do, and that's probably a bit of the reason. Because just since this hobby's been around, it's pretty easy to, doesn't cost you anything to sign a name on something and try to screw someone out of money, which we try not to do. So and there, in any business, there's crooks out there. You need to trust who you're dealing with and learn a lot about them before you spend your hard-earned money.
Sure. Now, one quick note, and then also kind of a follow-up question. So the note is, I was going to say, kind of to your guys' point, I understand that for the most part, I think a lot of the hockey was left out of the current. Again, we'll see. Obviously, there's investigation is ongoing and all that. The one note that I'll make is that my opinion, especially when it comes to autographs, is that if there's an area where you assume there's safety, then that's a great area for somebody to exploit. Because the safer you think it is, then you're more likely to just trust without blindly, and you don't want to. You want to avoid. Basically, you want to keep your vigilance up, regardless. Even if you think, oh, nobody would do well, then that's probably the perfect candidate for somebody to mess around with, because you don't think they would bother with it, and that's exactly the names you don't think about, or the people that is kind of out of the way. Oh, hockey isn't affected by that. Well, it doesn't have to be the Gretzkys and the Lemieux and the Gordie Howes. It can be the second tier guys or other Hall of Fame guys. Oh, well, why would anybody? Why not? If you don't think they would, that actually makes it easier to get away with it if people aren't, if their guard isn't up, to put it that way. Now, my follow-up kind of question, given what we just talked about and what we just said, do you think that maybe that is going to then be, while it may cause some questions and some struggles for some of the autograph dealers that specifically deal in that, do you think that might be some business for the places that do the in-person signings? Maybe some people, for their own security, just to make themselves more comfortable, they might be more inclined to be like, you know what, I will go to signing for X person, whoever, because that way they will sign it in front of me and then slide it across the table to me, and I get that. It's not even necessary that I needed the experience or the picture with them, but just knowing they signed it and then slid it across the table into my hands, I have that security.
Yeah. And I'm not an autograph guy myself, but when we do these shows and they have the autographers, and then I kind of look at the board and see like some of the pricing to get someone's autograph. A lot of times, like, wow, that's a lot of money. But now, after something like this happened, to an autograph collector, it's probably worth every cent, because they know what they're getting.
Absolutely.
It's just that
No,
extra security. It's the assurance.
Yep. Yeah, and it may not, like to you, Carlos, it now it might not be, okay, well, I'm not going to collect this guy who I really love collecting. Now I may go and, I may turn my focus on, these other players that, pretty good players, and you can go and get them. They're attainable in person, and yeah, I could definitely see that changing people's minds.
So it's just a thought. I wanted to put out that question
Yeah.
because that could be the downstream impact. Maybe for some people, they become more inclined to kind of get in there on those signings, because then at least having that in-person experience then gives you that. So when you go home and you put it on your
Yep.
wall, you're like, I know exactly where this came from because I was there. And then there's no question in my mind. I don't have to worry.
Yep.
I don't need the authentication. They want to put a sticker on it. Cool. But I know exactly where this thing came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just wonder too, a lot of these guys have handlers that, kind of keep an eye open for this and that. If some of these guys were at shows, especially one, because these guys do live signings, and they're just kind of walking around, you see a table with 50 Aaron Judge autographs on it, like how it didn't raise eyebrows for for their handlers to at least question
Yeah.
it or start a discussion, because it's been going on for a while. So it makes you wonder. I don't know how investigative they'll get about this, but to see how deep this goes would be interesting. All I know is Blair and I aren't involved. We can wash our hands of it.
There you go.
I was away for 2 weeks, though.
I was going to say, we cannot account for the location and happenings of Blair when he's out gallivanting. We cannot be held responsible. AMG will not be held responsible for the actions of Blair as he gallivants around the countryside. But
sounds good.
On that bombshell, that concludes the episode. We'll get you guys out on time. So thank you to everybody. If you got any time sensitive, you want to know about pricing, availability, whatever, with anything we've showcased on the cards or any products or anything, reach out directly to the store. Use the contact points. You got the scrolling ticker down there. You got the things in the description. All that information can be used. That way, if you've got time sensitive, you can get the answers right away. If it's not time sensitive, you just got a general question, suggestion, thought, or comment, put it in the comments section. We'll usually review it in the following episode. And then we show to Brady to Chuck, so I have expectations. I won't say who, but I've got expectations. Regardless, though, we're covered on that. But yeah, if you have any questions related to any of that, you're more than welcome to ask. And then don't forget, there is a PSA that can be submitted through the store. And then lastly, card show. There will be card show trade night this Friday and this Saturday. Right now, the week that you're recording, if you're watching the week this comes out, this Friday and this Saturday, trade night, card show, both are in the mall. You know the location. If you know where the store is, you'll be able to find it. So for Blair, back in the corner, for Steve, collect the scalps, collect the people. This episode 89 in the books. Thank you very much. We'll catch you in the next one.